Y'all, I peeped she was wearing my goddamn underwear. Oh my god, so I forgot to tell you guys, one time back when I was living in New York, I had this roommate that I met on Craigslist. Number one mistake. And we became quite friendly. She like started hanging out with my friends without me. It was getting very much weird. So fast forward, I was in the kitchen sitting down in the dining table and she was washing the dishes. She had bent down to get something from under the sink, and y'all, I peeped she was wearing my goddamn underwear. Oh, but there's so many underwears that look alike. No, girl, this is an underwear that I bought at Bell's in Florida. There is only one of those. In that moment, I was shocked with my jaw on the floor, but I was too embarrassed to confront her right then and there. So I told her a week later that she needs to pack her shit up and that it was weird that she was doing that. And tell me why she left in the middle of the night, didn't pay rent, and took the couch.
Put a finger down if you were going to get your first apartment by yourself, but then your best friend says that you guys would save more money moving in together. So you move in with her and her daughter because you're the godparent of her daughter and you guys have been friends since 7th grade. So you don't think anything of it and you move in and the first couple months are great. And then February comes around and she tries to plan a Galentine's party and she thinks that you're not going to help her, but you end up helping her anyway with the entirety of the party. And then after she stops talking to you for like a week and then saying weird things about you on Instagram. So you reach out to see what's going on, and she said that you guys are on 2 different pages and you guys should keep some distance. So you do that, and then you guys try to rekindle and go out, but it's not the same. And then she gets a dog, and then she stops taking care of the dog and leaves the dog in the cage for 10 plus hours and ends up giving the dog back. And then she tells you that your company is over there too much, you can't smoke in the house, and then doesn't tell you when her company is coming over even though your name is on the lease. So then you guys stop being friends again, and then she tells her daughter to stop talking to you, and then she starts separating things like water, and then says that the pots for the house are hers and she wants you to get your own pots. So you do that, but then she stops cleaning up her pots and starts leaving dishes in the kitchen. And then closer to the end of your 12-month lease, closer to her birthday, she says that she wants to rekindle again because you were the only friend that ever showed up for her birthday and actually got her gifts. So around the time when you guys lease is about to end, she tries to sit down and talk to you and like try to be friends again, but the damage is already done, so it doesn't happen. And then you guys move out in April, but then she hasn't paid since January. So you ask her if she's going to pay by the time you guys move out. And she says yes. And then she changes it to that she has a payment plan. And then you call the leasing office and there is no payment plan. So then you reach out and she has an attitude and says that she's going to wait for it to go to collections to pay. So then you give it some time. So hopefully she changes her mind, but she doesn't. So then you reach out to the leasing office again and find out that you guys have about maybe $300 extra in damage fees. So then you reach out to her again and she still says she's waiting for collections, and now she owes $2,700 in total because of the damage fees and the past 3 months that she didn't pay. So then it goes to collections and you reach out again and she's still saying that she doesn't know when she's going to pay and she has things that she has to worry about. But then she's on Instagram buying drinks and getting sections in the club and going to restaurants and catching flights. So you're confused. So you reach out again and then she still has an attitude and says that you're not her mother, and she says that you're harassing her, but you tell her that if she would have paid, then you wouldn't have to reach out to her. So now it's July and she hasn't paid for a whole 6 months. She hasn't put a dime on there. So now you have to file a small claims court and you have to pay money for a lawyer to get your name off the lease. And now you have to go through this whole process to get your name off the lease.
Okay, I know that everybody thinks that they've had the worst roommate ever, but like, I truly promise you, I have had the worst roommate on the entire planet. This is like a 4-year story, so it might be a couple parts. Bear with me, I swear I will make it as short as possible. So I'm hanging out with this group of like fraternity guys, and one of them is dating this girl, and they end up like breaking up. It was a super nasty breakup. She gets blacklisted. Everybody's like, she's absolutely crazy. Who cares? I don't know this girl. But I do know her name. So like a year later, I'm really desperate to move out of my parents' house. I'm on Facebook looking up places to live. I find this place. I don't recognize the girl. I'm like, okay, whatever. I've lived with strangers before. No big deal. So I go over there to look up. Guess who opens the door? Crazy ex-girlfriend. I'm like, that's weird. Like, she was under a different name, but like maybe she changed her name. I don't know. So I'm talking to her. She seems normal. The apartment is nice. The room's really cheap. She tells me that she's married now. She got married to this guy within 5 months. They were dating for 5 months and got married. I'm like, that's kind of weird, but whatever. I'll live with a couple if it's cheap rent. So I move in, everything's dandy. Like a month after I moved in, she's all of a sudden telling me that her and her husband are getting divorced now, or getting it annulled because they haven't even been married long enough for it to count. And then she's telling me about how he's like crazy and abusive and is trying to break into our apartment, so she has to change all the locks. And I've met this guy and like he seemed totally normal, but like obviously you don't know with guys, so I'm gonna believe the girl in this situation. She's my roommate. So far she has a totally different name. She married a guy after 5 months, and now they're getting divorced a month after I move in, and she's saying that he's crazy and abusive. So crazy guy disappears out of our lives. It's just me and the 2 other girls in the apartment for like a year, and honestly everything was chill. Like I would catch this girl lying about the weirdest things. Like she would tell everybody that she couldn't drink because she was anemic and it made her really sick, but yet I would literally sit and watch her drink alcohol all the time, and like things would be moved around in my bedroom, but like I didn't really care. And there's so much more weird stuff this girl did that I just can't remember at all. But then crazy girl decides she's gonna get 2 cats, and these cats are like abused like completely in our apartment. Like she never spends time with them. Their litter boxes are never clean. Our apartment starts to stink so bad because like they're peeing and pooping everywhere. They're throwing up all over the place. They have goop coming out of their eyes, and I keep telling her like, Riley, it stinks in here, it really stinks in here, like could you do something about it? And she's like, I'm so sorry, like I'll fix it. Never does anything to fix it. The smell got to be so bad that I literally had to move my clothes and everything to my boyfriend's house. I had to do all of my laundry there. I had to change there because like my clothes just smelled like pure cat pee and poop. Like everybody was telling me that. It was so embarrassing. My boyfriend could not come and visit me because he would literally open the door to my apartment and start vomiting like over the stairwell next to my door. Then I go through like this whole 2-week mental breakdown where like I should have been in a psych ward, honestly. And I was like, I can't live this like anymore. Like I have to leave. So me and the other girl that were living there were like, we have to go. Like we found better places to live. We never told her it was because of her stinky cats. We were very nice about it and just said we found a better place to go. We do all the paperwork to get off the lease. Not 1 time, but 2 times did we do the paperwork to get off the lease. So I think I'm off the lease. I guess I'll do a part 2 if this gets any views. So other roommate and I have gone in 2 separate times and done the same thing 2 times to get off this lease. So there's no reason that we should be on the lease anymore. We are living our carefree lives when all of a sudden I start getting emails upon emails telling us that we are getting evicted from our apartment and she didn't pay the rent on time. So immediately me and the other girl are like, why are we still on the lease? I went through the paperwork twice to get off of this lease. And she's like, oh, I don't know, like the office must have messed something up, but like we do move out in 2 months, so would you mind just staying on the lease so we don't have to go through the whole process again? And I'm like, yeah, like if you pay your rent, I don't mind for another 2 months, but like you're getting eviction notices, so can you pay your rent? She pays the rent, we're all good. I'm like, I guess I'll stand there for 2 months. Like what's another 2 months out of this 9 that like I didn't even know I was on there? So their lease ended in August, and like September 10th, I get an email saying that their rent is due and they're getting evicted again. And I'm like, they shouldn't even be living there. So of course I text the girl and I'm like, hey, like you guys moved out, right? Like why is it saying that you guys still live there? Did you do all the paperwork to say that you were leaving the apartment? She says, yes, I did. I emailed it to the apartment complex and I went in there and talked to them. Like there's no reason it should be like that. But like I'm working a ton, so I don't have any time to go in there. Keep in mind, I follow this girl on Snapchat and Instagram, and she is gallivanting literally everywhere, not working a single hour. Like legitimately, I see her at work probably once every 2 weeks since I've started living with her. She never works. I have no clue how she gets money. 0 clue. So I know she's lying and I know she's not busy, but I have to deal with this. So I go to the apartment complex and I say, hey, she apparently said that she ended the lease. No one's living in there. It's completely empty. Like, can I just sign something that says we're done? The lady at the office is super helpful. She's like, yeah, let me just edit it and fix it real quick. And it should just go down to like the last utility bills and like stuff. I was like, okay, perfect. So I get the bill down to like $200 for her and I leave and I text her. I say, hey, like all this is done. Like all you need to do is go in and pay the last electric bill and water bill and whatever you need to do. Then like you should all be good. She's like, oh, thank you so much for doing that. Like I'll go online and pay it right away. A couple weeks later, I start getting emails again saying that they're going to send the bill off to collections and it's now like $600. So I go on there. I'm like, what is the bill for? Why hasn't she paid it? Never paid the electric bill like she said she would. So all those old bills are still on there. Now there's multiple late fees on there. There are damage charges because of like the carpet and the entire apartment stinky. And they're saying, we're going to send this off to collections. And my name is on the lease. So is the other girls. And so is the crazy girls. So me and other girls start texting crazy girl. We're like, what are you doing? You said you were going to pay this. Now there's a late fee tagged on. If this messes up my credit, I'm going to be ticked. I haven't lived here in a year. Can you please handle? No response. So we're both like, what is going on? Turns out she blocked me and the other girl on literally every social media platform, like Facebook, all of it. We have no way of contacting her. And she owes us a complex like $700. And neither one of us have lived there an entire year. And all the damages and late fees, it's all her fault. She lives with my friend's little sister now. Don't know why my friend would let his little sister live with her, but she does. And she has somehow turned my friend's little sister like onto her side. Like she's such a good manipulator, like a good liar, that this is somehow my fault. promise I'm the same person, I'm just not wearing makeup. And yes, the story does continue to get worse. So crazy girl has blocked me and old roommate on everything, still owes them $700, has managed to turn my friend's sister against me. And I guess it's really important to know that I also have friends who are friends with this crazy girl. And we've all known that she was like mildly crazy, but like she's never done anything crazy to us. So we never thought anything of it until the situation. So now I'm asking all my friends that know her to try to get into contact with her. And they're all telling me that they're blocked. So this girl is literally ending over 5 friendships for $700, not even $600. 5 good friendships she's had for years, over $600. So I'm going deeper. Like I'm stalking her Instagram followers. Like I'm seeing who I can find to contact. And the other girl that was living in the apartment with me was like, hey, the boyfriend that I was dating at the time knew Riley's current boyfriend. I can ask him if he knows his number. So she texts her ex, and then her ex actually ends up telling us that crazy girl tried to hook up with him while he was in a relationship with my other roommate, and also crazy girl had a boyfriend. So she's a cheater as well. So now I'm like, I've got to tell crazy girl's boyfriend, like this needs to be exposed. And now third roommate is even more ticked that crazy girl tried to steal her boyfriend while we were all living together. So she's like, no, I want to be the one to DM him. So then I DM crazy girl's boyfriend about her owing us money and blocking us on everything, because like there's no way he knows, or he's a terrible person too. The other roommate is like, I'm gonna DM him and tell him that she's a cheater. But he doesn't follow either of us, and we don't follow him, so like I don't even know if he's ever gonna see this. So I'm planning on suing this girl. Obviously I know it's gonna be a lot of money, but like for the principle of the matter, this girl needs to be sued. So I get her address from my friend who his little sister lives there, and I go there and I put a letter of demand on her door. I send it to like every social media account and her phone number, even though like I'm blocked. My friend and I are like getting angry at his little sister, like, why are you living with this crazy person and defending her? Like, you're being a literal psychopath. But I'm also like, you don't know what lies she's telling your sister. Like, she is a very good liar. So I've like kind of gotten a hold of crazy girl through my friend's little sister, and this is what she has to say. Jenna can log in at any point to see if the bill is paid. Yeah, and it's not. I've logged in every day. It's not paid. And if she's so worried about it, she can pay it herself. Yes, I'm worried about it because it's about to get sent off to collections. And why would I pay it myself? It's not my money that I owe. Shouldn't have stayed on the lease if she was that worried. That's literally all on Jenna. What? I sent this to the other girl, and she and I were both like appalled, literally appalled. She shouldn't have stayed on the lease. I tried to leave so many times. In this part, a judge is going to say, and why didn't you pay it? Because you have equal legal responsibility. Yeah, dummy, that's the point. The point is that legally I'm responsible for it, but it's actually yours, and that's why I'm going to sue you. That's the point. Judge don't care if Riley said it was paid or not. Jenna has access to see if it was or not. Why do you keep saying that? I do have access, and it's not been paid. What are you saying here? And that's all that's happened so far, so I'll see her in court.
Highly anticipated crazy roommate tea. Let's talk about it, but let's start off with some context of how we got here. So my old roommate that I lived with for a year ultimately retracted her agreement to renew our lease. So one night we are talking and we send the email to the landlord saying that we want to renew. And the next morning she sends a follow-up email saying, actually, I changed my mind. I don't want to renew due to a family circumstance. So that leaves me with this apartment and no new roommate to renew for, this happened May 30th and the new lease begins July 1st. So the landlord gives myself 2 weeks to try to find a new roommate. So I am asking around, having friends ask for me, and I am heavily in Facebook groups to find a new roommate. And that is where we start off with the story. Now it is marketing promotion time for me to find my ideal roommate. So I mentioned a little bit about myself and the space and who I am looking for. A big portion of this is the fact that my apartment is already basically furnished. So I write that in my description and I let that be known when I interview who at the time I thought was a sane, normal person. I'm asking her what are her living habits, like what is her ideal setup. I'm showing her basically what is around the area, talking a little bit more about the neighborhood, what communication styles, like a lot of in-depth things. And she's telling me a lot about how she currently does not like her roommate, and she is in a situation with her landlord, so she has to move. So getting to know this girl. First meeting goes well, and we really emphasize the sense of wanting to communicate in our future roommate scenario, which we were anticipating would be each other. Then she does a walkthrough of the apartment and she likes it. She looks up her commute. She compliments the space with the aesthetics, the furniture, and this is very important. She also, once again, agreed to buy the items that are missing from the apartment, in the sense that my old roommate took 2 out of 3 bar stools. I have 1. Would she be okay with purchasing the 2 that need to be replaced? The patio, the rug, and I know that's a lot to ask for, I guess, but I mentioned it in my listing. I mentioned this to her multiple times and she agreed. She moves in, which is like 4th of July weekend, and she ultimately comes with nothing besides the things that are going to go in her bedroom and a few kitchen items. But ultimately, this girl was set up for an apartment that is practically fully furnished. So she didn't come in with an extra TV for the living room, an extra couch, or any of that. So there was that. And then one day, I think 4 or 5 days into her settling in, I sent her the links for the things that we agreed that she would purchase. She responds back by saying she had a budget of $200. And I was like, why wouldn't you tell me this earlier? Why think this? And I was like, hey, like, I wish you would have told me this sooner. Do you mind if we talk in person about this? Once again, emphasizing communication. So we meet in person and I was like, hey, like, I really wish that you would have told me about this $200 budget. You knew the items that needed to be replaced. Like, I don't know how you thought like a whole patio would be decorated. And that was only a portion of it with $200, with also specific items that we agreed. Like, you knew this exact bar stool needed to be replaced. At least that's what we talked about. So I'm like, okay, let's also like shelf that. And I also wanted to do like a check-in on like, how do you feel? Like, you're living in a new space. She's like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable living here. She's like, I feel like this is your space and I just don't feel comfortable here. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, if I made you feel some sort of way, how can we work on this, you know? Because we're living together now.
Freshman year of college, I had a roommate that was literally from hell. And I'm finally ready to talk about it, so let's talk about it. Freshman year of college, I had a different roommate fall semester and spring semester. And that is because I canceled my dorming lease to move in with my psycho ex-boyfriend, and then he ended up kicking me out of his house. So I had nowhere to live, so I moved into this girl's apartment. We're gonna call her Linda. I've known Linda for a while. We met through Facebook and we became really, really close. We hit it off really well. And she had a roommate move out of her dorm and she had one of the nicer dorms and she offered me to come stay with her in her dorm for the rest of the semester. So after hopping dorm to dorm for like 2 weeks, I moved in with her and we had a blast. I literally loved her. Like, I thought we were going to be best friends forever. Also, keep in mind, her fall semester roommate had moved out because she was telling me how she thought she was crazy. Linda told me that she thought her roommate was crazy, but turns out it was Linda that was crazy. She told me she went through her roommate's like Apple Watch and her diary and just found out that she was like low-key a bitch or whatever. And just found out how her roommate ended up actually not liking her, and that's how she found out. And I was like, oh, you went through her stuff? Like, that's how you found out? But it never like registered in my mind. Like, that should have been my first red flag, that she literally went through her old roommates, all her personal belongings. So we get close really, really fast. It was so much fucking fun being in this friendship. Like, it felt so new. I finally felt like I found someone that like was really, really identical to me. But we had way too many things in common. Like, it was almost too good to be fucking true. Like, we were literally the same exact person, except we weren't. Every day started becoming a competition. She never complimented me. I always complimented her. She would ask to borrow my clothes and I would willingly like let her borrow my clothes, my hair stuff, everything, like everything. And if I asked her to borrow something, she'd be like, no. But I could never say no to her or she would have a tantrum. As the days go by, I start realizing she's just like not really nice to me. Like, she's so mean to me. So when I broke up with my ex-boyfriend and he had, I came like rushing to our dorm after everything happened. She like locked me out, wouldn't let me in. She told me she was at work and I told her what happened and she was like, okay, like what? Like, she kind of was like believing me, not believing me. And she didn't care about me and if I was okay. The first thing she kept asking me was, did my ex-boyfriend go through our text messages because she had been cheating on her boyfriend at the time? And I was the only one that knew. And the night that she started cheating on her boyfriend, she also told me and the other girl that we were out with, we had gone to this club. She told us that for the first time, she's finally hanging around with girls that are like on her level. And she said that like girls in her high school were like nothing compared to her. And like she was just like so much better than them. Like, and that's when I started to realize something was really off with her. And everyone that was friends with her in the past that told me not to be friends with her, people that have gone to high school that go to college with me, were telling me like, be careful of her. She's insane. And I had her back the entire time. Like, I literally fully supported her, defended her. I was her biggest hype man. I was such a good person to her. And every time someone would say something bad about her, I'd be like, no, like, she's so awesome. Like, you just don't know her the way I know her. That was my downfall. I never saw right through her. This bitch gave me so many red flags. Later in the spring semester, we get into a feud because I thought Jacob Elordi was hot, and so did she, and she thought I was copying her. So she kicks me out of the dorm.
So I got into literally, I think, the biggest fight I've ever gotten into with my roommate last night. And I don't know if you can tell by these awful dark circles and under eye bags, but I literally got no sleep. And honestly, I want to talk about it because number one, I'm still so hurt and angry and upset that I just need to get it out. And also some of you might relate to having an awful roommate situation. And she's blocked on everything, by the way, so she's not going to see this. But my roommate, my girl roommate, I live with a couple, so her and her boyfriend, she is quite literally one of the most disrespectful and inconsiderate people I think I've ever met in my life. We have had problems in the past, but I have always obviously wanted a very peaceful and livable household. So when we have had issues in the past, we've been able to sit down and have been like, look, you know, this is what happened, and this is kind of like how it made me feel. Like, let's figure this out, basically. I don't want to live in a hostile environment, and I need fucking peace in my life. And I've just come to realize that this person is so deeply inconsiderate and probably so deeply miserable in her own existence as a human being that she can't live peacefully and she can't approach issues peacefully. Regardless of who it is that you live with, no two people are the same, okay? So you're gonna have different ways of living, and things are just gonna come up in a roommate situation. And the way you communicate when these problems come up and the way you handle it says everything. Anyway, so I'm at work and she starts blowing up my fucking phone over an issue that could have been resolved had we had an in-person conversation and sat down. But instead, she literally fucking attacked me and said I've never been spoken to this way. Like the most disgusting, foul ass fucking language. My best friend and I have been friends for 8 years. We lived together previously for 3 years. We've gotten into some fights, okay? In any friendship, you're gonna have a fight. My best friend and I have never ever once spoken to each other this way or ever even remotely got as close to being as disrespectful as the way this bitch talked to me last night. When we all moved in together, we had the agreement that we were not going to do the like splitting food thing. Like, this is your food, this is my food. Basically, the agreement that we came to is if you ate something and you finish the last of it, you replace it, right? Understandable. And it's been this way for the last 6 months since we've all lived together. And so I ate and finished off the last of one of her snacks, reordered it. Literally, it arrived yesterday. And in this argument, this bitch had the audacity to say to me, you wouldn't have eaten all my food if you didn't have a raging eating disorder. Girl, what the fuck? Literally, who talks to somebody like who says something like that to a person? Especially when when we've had conversations at length about my history of disordered eating. Also, I don't know if you can hear their dog screaming his head off in the back, but every time they leave him, their dog does this and howls for hours and barks his head off. Anyway, what transpired after this conversation was basically the both of them trying to essentially intimidate me and bully me out of moving out of my own fucking house, which is not gonna happen, okay? I paid a fat ass deposit to move into this beautiful big home. And now she wants to like act like a fucking victim. And she's like, oh, we're being, now we have to live together against our own will. She wants to act like a victim in a problem she created. And the situation has me so upset and so angry. But I've also realized, like, how sad for her. Like how sad that a grown-ass fucking adult has, number one, 0 communication skills, 0 conflict resolution skills, and is so deeply heinous and foul and just an outright fucking mean girl. Like, you're a mean girl at 27? Gross. And I deeply believe that people like this and who she is her own karma. And it sucks that I have to live with this evil bitch for 6 more months, but it is what it is.
I always used to see videos that are like, don't move in with your friends, like it'll ruin your friendship. And I never believed it because I moved in with my closest friends and we were going good. Like literally no fights, no arguments about living together for a whole year. Until everybody decided that it would be smart for me to be the last person to find out that one of our friends and roommate hadn't been paying her rent in months because she was paying her parents' rent. Like, no shade. You could have moved out. If you knew you were going to be paying the rent. I mean, all shade. Why the fuck you ain't move out? Like, oh, that's noble. You're paying your parents' rent. Bitch, what about ours? Like, and even then I was still trying to be sympathetic because this was my real life friend. I go and talk to her about it. I don't care. I know I should care, but I don't. I would do it 100 times over. If I had $1 million tomorrow, I would give it all to my parents. And not to our other friend whose mom you owe thousands of dollars. You what? My main point in being mad at her, we're supposed to be friends. You couldn't tell me my rent was going up hundreds of dollars. I asked her that. Her response to me was, my rent is personal to me. We are paying the same rent. We're paying rent for the same motherfucking house. Like, I don't really get it. Like, I'm paying the same amount you're supposed to be paying, and I'm paying the same amount that the person whose name is on the lease is putting in as well. They aren't paying the whole fucking rent. I mean, they started paying half once they started paying her bum ass rent. But we pay the same amount, so how the fuck is that not my business? And then the craziest thing is this bitch had money that she could have been sending to the person who's on the lease that was putting up rent for her. The person told her, send me any amount that you can. This bitch sent a whopping total of 0 in that, but was getting her braids done, getting her toes done, eating out every motherfucking day, but is trying to be a culinary chef. How the fuck that work, bitch? Everything just didn't line up. So, I guess moral of this motherfucking story is, fuck Cancer women. Get the fuck away from me. If you are a Cancer woman or man, I swear to God, I will... Oh, I'm about to change my motherfucking name to I Hate Cancers. Not just men and women.
As a Christian, be careful what you watch, be careful what you listen to, and be careful what you engage in. There should be no debate. Christians don't need to be going to watch the Sinners movie. And what happened to me and my roommate 2 nights ago is a perfect example why. So as I was pre-parting my hair, which you know can take a long time, I'm like, okay, let me put something on to watch. So I'm like, okay, Criminal Minds come up. I grew up watching Criminal Minds. If you know about Ion Television, you know. And looking back on it, now I know that it was the Holy Spirit, but in my spirit I felt, no, you shouldn't watch that because it's not good for you at this time of night. Mind you, it was about 12 o'clock. So I get in bed, my 2 roommates come in, it's about 2 a.m. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm saying o'clock. It was about 2 a.m. We get in bed. I'm usually super alert when I'm asleep because I do have the gift of dreams, so there be many attacks and many crazy things happening all throughout my sleep. But this time I was not. I was fast asleep. I had my Bible playing on my phone, and I'm just having a dream, lollygagging, right? Next thing I know, I hear snapping. A whole bunch of snapping, right? So I turn around. My roommate is on the floor, nailed down, just snapping my shoe rack. Mind you, it's 4 o'clock in the morning at this time. So my shoe rack had previously been broken. So my assumption off a quick wake up was to say, I'm gonna call her Kimmy for this video, to say, oh no, Kimmy, it's okay, because I thought maybe she got out of her bed, she used the bathroom and tripped over my shoe rack and was picking up my shoes. No, that was not the case. As I see her snapping, because my shoe rack is wood, as I see her snapping my shoe rack, I said, hey Kimmy, is everything okay? Because that's my shoe rack. No response. So I'm like, Kimmy, is everything okay? Because that's my shoe rack. When I tell you this girl is kneeling down like this, she acts like she's taking her headphone off. She looks at me like this and she says something like, I can't remember the first thing she said, but I'm definitely going to tell you the second thing she said. She said, no, I'm just getting it. And then she stands up. And the reason I mentioned the shows or the music or what you intake is because if I had watched Criminal Minds, I would have had the spirit of fear in me, and I could have reacted to the situation way differently. I have a bag hanging on my bed right above my shoe rack. She starts ripping at my shoe rack. I'm sorry. She starts ripping at the straps on my bag. So that's when I know something is wrong. So I get off my bed, I walk over, turn on the light, and I say, "Hey," to my other roommate. I say, she says, I say, "I think there's something wrong." So I say, "That's my bag, Kimmy. Is everything all right?" She's ripping. "Kimmy, that's my bag. Is everything okay?" This girl says, "Yeah." She says, "I'm just trying to get it before it gets you." Mumbling. And I'm like, "It's going to get me. What's going to get me? Is everything okay?" Ignoring me. Like, who wants to wake up in a pitch black to someone on their floor ripping at their shoe rack? But as y'all can see, the room is empty because somebody had to go. But I mentioned that because my roommate, who's a baby in Christ, had watched the Sinners movie, and she started crying. She started bawling. Like, she couldn't handle it. She was so fearful. She was so full of fear. And she talked to me about it. She was like, "Yeah, like, I want to be, like, not fearful like you." And I'm like, "Yes, I understand, but it's also the things you intake." Because she said that she was so scared because, like, she was breaking my stuff. Like, she was a vampire from the Sinners movie. And I'm like, you gotta be careful what you intake because it can really make you fearful. I have another story time about how I watched a 5-hour compilation of scary story times, and that same night I seen a woman appear in my window, look at me, and duck down. And I was about 15 years old at that time, too old to be sleeping in my parents' room, but I was in my mom's room for 2 weeks after that, scared to go to sleep. It's all because of what you intake. Like,